And welcome back, Fam Bam. As you probably saw on, on the listing for the channel, we've basically we're redoing things a little bit, and we've retitled what was called Metaphysics on Your Mind is now called Flow and Tell with Lynx and Tony. Obviously. Good to see you back, bro.
All right. Yeah.
Ready to do your thing? Yeah. So, basically, it's not that what we're going to do going forward is going to be that much different, although it will be a bit. What we want to do, though, is focus on the fact that what I would say at this time is that there's a change to the energy. I think many of you would agree that, if we look out into the world, as well as if we go by the feelings that we have within, that there seems to be like an energy shift. Not going to put a judgment on it and say it's good or bad or this or that.
Right.
But I think most of us can sense and can feel that there's an energetic shift, which again, as you know from what we've talked about in the past, we talked about the age of Aquarius or the age of revelation, basically the same thing, that as we have moved from the age of Pisces, which we were in for 2,000 years, into this new age of Aquarius, where there's going to be a new dispensation, where there's going to be an energetic shift, right? For theoretically, that will more or less last for 2,160 years. We won't go through all of that as we talked about in the past. We can go back to that, at another time. But there's a shift in the energy, and if we think of energy, because remember, energy is not created or destroyed, right? It's either transferred or transmuted into different forms. Okay, so if we think in terms of the energy as a flow, like you're, riding a wave of the ocean, or in music, there's a certain flow to the rhythm, right? There's a certain vibration, a current that you become pulled into, right? Kind of like like a tide at the ocean. You get pulled into that wave. So with Flow and Tell, we're talking about, there's going to be a lot of music, because that's our thing, but we're also going to be telling our story, all of our stories, right? As we move through this energy, it's going to give us an opportunity, if we so choose, I would say, that we can access the deeper parts of ourselves and learn more about our story. Or we can resist. You can resist the current, but I don't know. That might be. Everybody has a choice. So the idea of kind of shifting from, it's still about metaphysics, of course, but it's really about, in this new kind of wave of energy, this flow that we have the opportunity to shift in. We're going to see, as we're already seeing, if you just even want to talk about the age of revelation, we're going to see, we've already seen it. Things are beginning to be revealed, right? Things that were hidden, the veil is being lifted. That's what the revelation or the reveal is more or less talking about. In other words, the masks that we've worn, these illusionary facades that many of us have worn, are going to be stripped away in various ways, right? And in various times. But the point is this is where the wave is to reach that deeper truth. You have to rip away the facade, the masquerade, the masks that we wear to get through life day to day. And we have to expose ourselves to who we really are, not just what society tells us we are, what our family, what our friends. Who do you say you are? That's the most important thing. I don't give a damn what they say you are. What do you say you are? That's first, because you can't control what somebody else thinks, right? Mm-hmm. They think what they think, you think what you think. It's really more important is what do you think about yourself? So part of the change in flow and tell, as opposed to or in contrast to metaphysics, is the first, 89 videos or whatever, the focus was the hidden meanings of the Bible and then the discussion about meditation. We're going to still use those as touchstones, but we're going to move away so much from just focusing on the Bible. The reason why, as we discussed before, why that was a focus was because in the West, that's what we know the best, right? If we were in another location, it might be the Quran. It might be, any number of sacred texts that in essence is doing what a religion, belief system, is really supposed to do. All that, in my opinion, all that a religion can do or is supposed to do is to introduce you to your spiritual nature. Okay? That's it. When it becomes something that dictates your behavior through a set of doctrine, well, it's still metaphysics. It just has a doctrine, right? But none of it can be proved in an objective sense. So metaphysics versus what we call physics, the physical that you can objectively prove, and the metaphysics that goes beyond that, well, we know that it's the invisible that creates the visible. The thought always comes before the thing, and the feeling, generally speaking, comes before the thought. There's a sequence to how the wave flows, Tony, right? We don't always think of this consciously, but there's a flow within us as well as the flow that we have as a collective society. So we're going to dig more into that. We're going to move away from just being specifically more about the hidden meanings of the Bible, but we will make touchstones with that and we'll come back to it. But we want to broaden the conversation, okay? So the language that gets used is going to be a little bit stronger, and I don't mean in a way that you would call negative, but just stronger in that it's going to be a bit more gritty, because sometimes you have to use the language in a way that projects the true meaning of what you're attempting to convey, and a lot of times that also happens in the way that it's delivered. It's not just the word, it is with the conviction or the passion or whatever the case may be that informs what is being communicated. So, just a heads up to those who may have some objections to what you would call profane language, you're going to hear some of that, not for any specific effect, but just keeping it real. That's just the way it is. It's how I talk, how I move. And we're not about, shall we say, dampening that, but we showed respect for the scriptures and for those who have respect for the scriptures and for meditation by trying to keep it, fairly much not too demonstrative, shall we say, in the language. But as we move away from that, it may sound a little bit different. So, but again, the themes are going to be similar. We felt like it was time to make a little bit of a shift. and we're excited. We really want to thank everybody that has continued to check us out, subscribe, like, share the comments. I won't get into what some of you will remember from what we talked about, pencil whipping. I'll address that down the line, but that's all cool too, right? Okay. The main thing is that we understand what. Let's see. Let me pick it up. What we're trying to do, because all this stuff is great, but you're not going to save yourself, right? Because salvation is actually saving from yourself, from your ego, right? You're not going to do it through intellectualism. Okay, so what do we read in, what is it? Luke 4:23, and this is the Christ figure to the multitude in the synagogue, saying, "Ye will surely say unto me this proverb, Physician, heal thyself." And there's a little bit more on that verse, but that's, "Ye will surely say unto me this proverb, Physician, heal thyself." So in other words, the Christ figure is saying that you are a physician. And you say, well, wait a minute, I didn't go to medical school. I'm not a doctor. That's not what it's saying. Let's look up the definition of metaphysician. So if we go to the Webster's dictionary or whatever, Merriam-Webster, let's define metaphysician. Sorry about that, y'all. The camera ran out, caught us a little bit off guard. But anyway, just to wrap this all up, that's what that's part of the mystery. When it says, hey, you can know all of this stuff, you can know it backwards and forwards, but you're still not going to be able to save yourself because you haven't done one thing. You haven't submitted, you haven't surrendered to the highest consciousness of all. That's the only way that you can be liberated from your ego. That's the only way. And the ego can be both, a boastful ego, but it also can be a poor ego. It could be a traumatized ego. Neither one is any good, see? So, and we're going to do another video that goes deeper into the idea that you can intellectually access heaven. And we're also going to talk about how some people believe that they can do it through sensuality. So intellectualism or rationalism, or through abject sensuality. I would say both of those ideas clearly are contrary to the idea that, you can't do it that way. You have to submit to a higher consciousness. Because what does it say? So that no man can boast. So in other words, if it was about how smart you were, if it was about how learned you were, then those people would be able to boast that, hey, I'm better than you because I figured this all out. I was able to decode all of this, so I'm better. But this book says no. It's set up so that no man can boast. Okay? Which means that you have to surrender. And that's called, you've seen a movie with basically that deals with it. Dark night of the soul. That's when you surrender, right? The shadow to the light of the Most High, highest consciousness, your higher self, God, whatever you want to say. The dark night of the soul. Of course, the movie had a K on it because they've objectified it in a external way, right? Just like a lot of times people do with these writings, they will externalize it. Well, intellectualizing this or sensationalizing this is an externalization. This is saying, no, 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 no. You got to go within and you have to submit the ego, right? You've got to submit. So that's what we want to explore, because for some people it may be a concept that is not familiar, but it's an exploration, right? This is what we're students. We are exploring. We are testing. We are tasting. That's what we're doing. So we're going to do more of that. But this is what I would submit is where we are right now in this energetic shift with the flow shifting. This is what's being called for, if one chooses to do so. If you don't choose to do it voluntarily, I would say at some point the cosmos is going to do it for you. But that's just what I would think. But that's where we are now, dark night of the soul, where each person takes accountability for themselves. Not pointing fingers, not blaming other people, right? He's got this or she's got that. No, 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 no. You've been given your gifts. You've been given your constitution. And the idea is that you transform into a higher version of yourself, unless you want to dig your ditch that much deeper. You can. You could hit rock bottom. Many of us have to. But at some point, you will have to endure this. And when I say endure, it's actually a liberation, but it's not going to feel that way. So that's where we are with Flow and Tell. So we're going to, kind of keep it rolling more or less in the way that we've done it in the past. We're going to keep the board around, not for every video, but we just wanted to kind of touch base back with you and just with a different nomenclature. And but we're going to be doing, for the most part, what we've been doing, right? We've developed through our studies, right? More or less, you can call them that. As students, some are maybe a bit more knowledgeable about this kind of stuff than others, but it doesn't matter because it's not about a competition, okay? The only person you're competing with is yourself, which, that kind of stands to reason. It's about what you want for yourself. It's not about what anybody else wants for you. It's about what you want for yourself. So that's pretty much it. Just wanted to come back and say that, we're kind of back in the game or whatever. And, we're going to continue sharing. And again, we really appreciate those who have continued to vibe with us and support us or whatever. It's a fantastic thing. And we're just going to keep it moving. So until the next video, there it is.
Peace.